Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 20th August 2023. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TRSV, Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been doing in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to my vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my future and past videos for the benefit of your knowledge. Let us continue with the topic for today's discussion. I don't know whether I have already said this, but I want to say it again. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to the rule. It is just a continuation of all that we have been doing in my previous videos. So let us start with the topic for today's discussion in this particular video. For the past few videos, we have tried to blend the craze history concerning this video with the theory of this video in such a way that the viewer may understand the case history far better. There was one entity, one human living entity, who probably got into the special 20% of humanity in the society long back in several lifetimes ago, and he has been continuing to progress in that particular path from then on. This case history belongs to that particular living entity. To recap our own theory, let me remind you that we are all spirit souls who became living entities when we were entrapped in four layers of material body, namely causal intelligence, astral mind of feelings and emotions, etheric senses being sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, and the gross body made up of four elements, namely air, fire, water, and earth. This gross body of a living entity identifies him, her, or it in this particular material world. In other words, while the three layers of the subtle body of a spirit soul remain the same, this gross body keeps changing birth after birth, death after death. Every living entity changes his or her gross body according to his or her karma, destiny, and involvement in this society, and thus he or she is identified in this society through that gross body. So, of the 100% living entities in this society, 75 float along in this material world under the very wrong impression that they have just come here to enjoy life and lord it over the material nature. This, this puts them through various facets of material life, namely happiness, distress, success, failure, the five evils, and so on. Only after going through the grind in the 75% category does one living entity decide to look back into his own destiny or her own destiny and find that this was all a waste till now, and that he or she belongs to the other 25% category where the same living entity finally realizes that he or she has come to this particular birth as a servant of God and to carry out his material or spiritual assignments. Once this happens, the same living entity's psyche changes slowly but steadily. That particular assignment grows into that living entity in such a way that he or she becomes completely besotted with that particular assignment, and thus after several births, depending upon his or her involvement, karma, destiny, etc., completes that assignment and looks for another. Please remember that of the 25% that I mentioned as people who have realized their true identity as the servant of God, 20% are given only material assignments initially. Only 5%, even among this 25, are qualified enough to go into the spiritual path. Once they reach the fringe of the spiritual path, There is no looking back for them. They keep struggling and striving in that spiritual path through contemplation and meditation and reach the levels of monks, sannyasis, rishis, maharishis, intellectuals, saints, celestial beings, sattas, beings from the other dimensions, demigods, godmen, etc. But it is a very long path. However, coming back to our story or theory in this video, let us continue with the case history of one human living entity, as I had mentioned before, and who had begun traveling in that 25% category path. So let us begin. There is one particular township in the state of Uttar Pradesh in India. This township is called Prayagraj now, but sometime before or some decades before, it was called Allahabad. Allahabad is famous for two different categories of three each. The first category is that this is the place where three holy rivers of India meet in the plains before they proceed towards the ocean or the sea of Bay of Bengal. These three holy rivers are known as the Ganga or Ganges, the Yamuna, and the Saraswati, which is not visible to the common eye of living entities but is supposed to either blend into Ganges and Yamuna or flow underground. Because this is the meeting point of these three rivers, so this place is known as Triveni Sangam. Because this is called Triveni Sangam, this is one of the holiest and most religious places or shrines in India. They are spiritually and religiously inclined. Further, this place has a very historical significance. Further, it also has political significance. Thus, just like the three rivers, this particular township has three main qualities or fields where it excels. One is religious and spiritual, second is historical, and the third is political. One of the most renowned, revered, and famous political families of India, which is at the helm of a political party called Congress, hails from this particular township. That family is surnamed Nehru. To two famous prime ministers of India hailed from this particular township. They were Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Srimati Indira Gandhi. Thus, people in Allahabad try to identify with these three qualities of Allahabad and consider themselves lucky to be natives of this particular township. Similarly, there lives one family with the surname Srivastava in this particular township, and it has been living here right from the 19th century. In 20th century, for some reason best known to the patriarch of that family, it added one adage to the surname, and that surname was called Bachchan. Thus, this family's surname became Bachchan Srivastav. On 27th November 1907, one boy was born in this family. He was christened Harivansh Rai. This family, this family was respectable, intelligent, and educated. So this refinement rubbed on Harivansh Rai too. He became a brilliant, well behaved, intelligent student, and he completed his schooling and graduation either in Allahabad or Prayagraj or in other cities too. After graduation, he became a teacher of Hindi in some respectable educational institution. However, besides being a teacher, this particular young man did not resign to his destiny or fate as a teacher alone. He was extremely talented right from the beginning, and one of his best talents was writing poetry. So much so that he began writing from an early age and began attending poetic meetings and what were known as Kavi Sammelans, where intellectuals of all kinds became a part of both participants as well as the audience. This boy or young man was so talented that he came into the bracket of such stalwarts as Nirala or Nirala, Maithili Sharan Gupt, and other such poets. Most of them were in and around from Allahabad. This guy wrote several poems and books. He was such an ardent devotee of his talent as a poet, that it is said that because of necessity he became ambidextrous. In other words, he could write with both hands. When one hand got tired, he dipped it into some bowl of hot water and began writing with the other hand. Such voluminous was his contribution to the Hindi literature in India that one of his very famous books called Madhushala, a collection of his poetry, was awarded the Sahitya Academy Award. It became an international instant bestseller. He was extraordinarily intelligent. This guy not only was a very good poet, but he was also quite artistic and refined in his outlook. Even his house was decorated and designed to give a very refined ambience to that particular house. Not only that, he and his wife came close to the illustrious Nehru family, and so he held several positions as a cultural director in the Indian government for the sake of refinement to be given to this Indian society. He was responsible for protecting and nourishing the cultural heritage of India, and he did so well that he received several other accolades and awards in that process. He had two sons, of whom the elder, also known as Amitabh Bachchan, became a superstar in the film industry in Tinseltown, Bombay, Maharashtra. Just like father, the son was also extremely focused towards his job as an actor. Both father and son probably belong to the 20% bracket, and hence they fell in love with their particular mission or assignment completely. Because they did so, they did not or could not afford any type of opposition from any quarter in their completing their respective assignments, one as a poet and the other as an actor. That was precisely the reason why, despite controversies dogging them all their life, they kept climbing up the rungs of the ladder of success in their chosen fields. This is what we should realize when we think and read about the life stories of both Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, the icon and living legend superstar of Bollywood in Tinseltown, India, plus his illustrious father, the well-renowned poet Dr. Hariboltrsvnectar Bachchan. Both father and son had an absolute focus towards their aims to make it as big as possible in their chosen fields. We all know that an assignment is as jealous a mistress as money or genius. These three are so jealous that once they hook you into their arms, they will not allow you to distract yourself from any towards anything which these three disapprove. When genius possesses a living entity, it needs complete loyalty from that particular living entity. As they say, talent is what you possess, but genius is what possesses you. Almost 75 to 80% of humanity in this society possesses some talent or the other. Alas, majority of them don't even realize that they possess this particular talent. Even when they come to realize this, genius does not possess them initially unless and until it is totally confirmed that this particular living entity is totally committed to that genius. Same is the case with assignments of the material and spiritual category meant for the 25% of humanity. When a particular living entity realizes that he or she has come here as a servant of God and manages to join as an intern to commit an assignment. It is not at all necessary that it grows into that person in one lifetime. It does not happen that way. Just like an organization has several levels in its labor force, similarly, when it comes to assignment, one starts as an intern and depending upon his or her talent, intelligence, experience, maturity, destiny, karma, and evolvement becomes a trainee either slowly or speedily in that particular lifetime. Thus, one progresses from one lifetime to the other, holding the rope of that assignment. First intern, then trainee, then clerk, then junior level manager, supervisor, executive, middle level manager, senior level manager, CEO, and so on in the organization defines how one a living entity progresses in the path of his or her assignment in several lifetimes. It looks like Dr. Harivansh Rai Bachchan and Mr. Amitabh Bachchan have already completed several lifetimes holding their particular assignments. That is precisely the reason why they became seeded players in their respective assignments and were born in respectable, educated, erudite families and to illustrious parents. This helped them realize their assignments and their level of achievement in that assignment, and thus it made them totally focused towards their respectable fields. Because of the total devotion towards their assignment, destiny became kind to them and it allowed them to reach dizzy, iconic statuses as living legends in this particular lifetime. Though in that process they had to sacrifice several things and relationships, these two brooked no opposition and they realized that they are living only to complete their assignment. Their focus towards it was absolute, just like that of the valiant Prince Arjuna, who focused on the bull's eye of the left eye of the bird whose eye was his target to be shot by his arrow in a particular competition. It is that type of focus that one needs to achieve something in life. There is a Tamil proverb or saying said by a very illustrious Tamil poet called Thiruvalluvar. He says, "My Varutham Parar Pasi Nokar Kan Tunjar Karma Me Kan Aina." That means that the man concerned should live in such a fashion that he does not or should not care about hunger, sleep, or pain when he or she is totally addicted to his or her ambition or aim. Napoleon himself has said that one should have limitless ambition, ceaseless industry, and a determination to succeed. One should allow his or her assignment to become an extension of his own and to get addicted to it Totally. It is said that Mr. Klaus Fuchs, the intellectual nuclear scientist who was called a walking computer even in the 50s and 60s, was so devoted and addicted to his subject that he could do with eating some small snacks every day instead of having a full meal. Such focus of his made him reach dizzy heights. He was whole soul responsible for the diversion of power of nuclear weapons from right forces like America and Europe and left countries like Russia and Cuba. This man was so scared that if this nuclear power and atomic bombs are concentrated in one particular category, it may become a Frankenstein's monster. So, Klaus Fuchs was solely responsible for divulging the secrets of nuclear power to Russia so that it could also create its own atomic bombs and maintain a balance of power in this world by becoming an opponent of America and Europe. This also needed focus, a complete focus towards your assignment. We all should take a leaf from the life stories of such great men as Dr. Harivansh Bachchan and Mr. Amitabh Bachchan to realize how much sacrifice we need to concentrate on the assignment assigned to us by the Supreme Personality of Godhead when we are fortunate and qualified enough to reach the 25% bracket. In the material world, you need contemplation, whereas in the spiritual world, you need meditation. Both contemplation and meditation need a lot of focus. Only great achievers achieved that much in their chosen field by complete focus towards their assignments. We must all unabashedly emulate such great men to become great ourselves. This is all I wanted to tell you in this particular video. Kindly let me know what you think of what I have said in this particular video in this subject. Please give me your own expert opinions, thoughts, ideas, and views so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society and for the betterment of humanity. Before concluding, I would like to remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.